Okay, welcome to SpeakEasy Online. It's the first one of 2025, so it must be January. And is it too late to say Happy New Year? There you are. Happy New Year. Yeah, good to see you guys. Hope you're all right. And it's already been a strange year, and we're only what 3-4 weeks into it. And I think it's going to get stranger. Anyway, this is a poem that was inspired by news headlines from one of the strange characters who seems to be stirring things up in the newspapers and in the world. It's called An Odious Man. Money counted to the last cent. Something stinks to high heaven. A quite unpleasant essence, an odour most repugnant. It leaves a bitterness and bad taste lingering for hours. The stench of evil, choking off critics, smothering debate and reason, that pungent whiff of fresh manure, a creeping fog of war, haze of misdirection, a furious blizzard, a storm of tweets, disseminating invisibly through the air, stirring up trouble, sticking his nose in where it's not required, the fragrance of a billionaire, that most unwanted gift, a distasteful musk. There you are. Cheers. It's already political. We're one poem in, and it's already. Oh, he's just such an annoying man. Follow that, Kelly.
I'll try. I've been going to the wonderful January writing hour that Kim Moore and Claire Shaw do, and I've got loads of notes for poems that I haven't really been able to work on properly yet. But I've got a few that I've written up, so I'll just read a few of those. What can you make? What can you do? Asks the world, after Jane Hirschfield. I can make bread with love. I can hold my granddaughter's hand as she takes her first wobbly steps. I can answer messages from volunteers taking food to asylum seekers. I can send one more email late at night so it arrives in the council officer's inbox before she switches on her computer. I can keep writing poems, even when it seems pointless. I can hold the tiny bird of hope in my hands, feed it with a dropper, wait till it grows strong enough to fly round the world. Hard to have much hope at the moment, but we can't give up completely, can we?
Oh, there's always hope. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was powerful. That was almost like a list of New Year's resolutions in a way. That Kelly. It was yeah. Carry on writing the poems. That's good. Thank you. Right, Jane. Hello.
Hello. Um, on this similar theme, this is a poem called Of the Empire by Mary Oliver. We'll be known as a culture that feared death and adored power, that tried to vanquish insecurity for the few and cared little for the penury of the many. We will be known as a culture that taught and rewarded amassing of things, that spoke little, if at all, about the quality of life for people, other people, for dogs, for rivers. All the world, in our eyes, they will say, was a commodity. And they will say that this structure was held together politically, which it was. And they will say also that our politics was no more than an apparatus to accommodate the feelings of the heart, and that the heart, in those days, was small and hard and full of meanness. Mary Oliver.
Wow, that's really powerful, that, isn't it? We're 3 poems in to 2025, and it's already thoughtful, and poignant, and meaningful stuff. So, thank you very much. Hello, Ros.
I'll just start with this. It's a little haiku, and it's entitled "Trumped." I thought I would talk of Trump's inauguration, but I am speechless. And that's it. I thought I had something to say, but it's just like too complicated.
I think you spoke for many, many people with those few words. That was shocking.
If only I could read them without falling over them. It was only 14.
That was good. Was that enough time, Peter, to find the work?
Yes, it was. I just realised what I was doing wrong.
Okay.
So, oops, and I've started doing it wrong again.
Peter, hello. Welcome back. Good to see you.
Hi. Well, I'm going to be continuing with the theme, and it's kind of the reason why the theme, if you like, is kind of the reason why I'm here tonight. Because, well, as Phil will know, I've just had a new ebook out, which consists of essays translated on the environment, translated from Italian by the chief executive of the Italian equivalent to the RSPB, Danilo Salvaggi. And there is one that is, so this is a prose piece, and there's one essay that's particularly appropriate to this week, especially given in mind Dr. Strangelove, as I now call him, and his mad ideas of going to Mars. Well, in one essay, or in fact in a couple of essays, Danilo references a short story by Philip K. Dick. In Philip K. Dick's story, a party of astronauts land on Mars, and this is from 1954, bear in mind, and the Earth's been destroyed, and they're seeking to find a new planet, and they find a giant telescope, and it's trained on the Earth, because they realise that the people on Earth were originally Martians, and they destroyed Mars and now moved to the Earth, and then they're moving back to Mars and trying to set up again there. So one of the astronauts is called Mason, and this is the passage in which he said, in which they realise what has gone on. This is the conscience of Mason. Let us return to Mars and Philip K. Dick's survey team. The 4 astronauts have discovered the vicious circle and are overwhelmed. We've destroyed 2 worlds, Holloway said at last. Not one. Mars first. Finished up here, then we moved to Terra. And then we destroyed Terra as systematically as we did Mars. A closed circle, Mason said. We're back where we started. Back to reap the crop our ancestors sowed. They left Mars this way, useless. So what now? The astronauts looked at each other, perplexed. Tell Davidson we're going on, Holloway ordered. We'll keep on until we find it. We're not staying on this godforsaken junkyard. His grey eyes glowed. We'll find it yet. A virgin world, a world that's unspoiled. All agreed, or maybe not. Mason was not one of them. 2 planets had already paid dearly for us. 2 planets and their riches, perhaps, turned over in the mind of Mason with the sadness of lost affections. The rivers, the forests, the flowering dunes, the flight of geese and swallows, the dusks and the dawns, the faces and loves of our fellow human beings. No, Mason's conscience would not accept it. It's wrong, he shouted. 2 are enough. Let's not destroy a 3rd world. We need Mason's conscience now, and quickly, not after having destroyed 2 planets. We need it now to save our own. In spite of everything, we still have time.
Wow. Yeah, we do have time, but will we act in that
Yes,
time?
quite.
Wow. Powerful stuff there, Peter.
Yeah, I think Danilo's a great writer on the environment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you very much. George has dipped out, so we'll go back to the top, and we'll pick up again from there. Oh, George was trying on his phone, so he's going to try again with his computer. But we'll see what happens. This is live updates from George called Keto. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow marks the 3rd anniversary since Tony Henry died, and I mean, where's that time gone? I was going to read one of Tony's, and this is called "Back to You." My senses are confused. I hear wild garlic, smell granite, and taste colour powder bombs at a holy festival in Bangalore, though I've never been to India. I see a frolicsome breeze, a fox's bark, a tawny owl's hoot, and the burp of a contented baby in a Tan Shan mountain village, though I've not set foot in China. I touch starlight and sound waves, savour the scent of the jet stream, and listen to a batch of bagels freshly made at a Chicago bakery, though I've never been stateside. I was a prosaic stay-at-home, but since we met the other night, my senses have become nomadic. They move in Silk Road caravans, in diving bells, and on skyrockets, on horses escaped from carousels, and in mass molecular migrations. Your smile has gifted me the world, and different ways of knowing it. Yet everything leads back to you. And that's Tony Henry.
Oh, thank you for reading that, Phil. Lovely poem. What an amazing man he was. I'll just read another little one from my January scribblings. One night I saw the pheasant in our garden. He stalked across the lawn like a feathered god. There was no one to see him but me. His steps were firm, his head high. His brown plumage almost disappeared into the darkness, but he was entirely himself. The green iridescent feathers still adorned his neck, even with no sun to make them gleam. May I always remember this. The things we love still exist, even when darkness hides them. Need to hold on to that at the moment. There's a lot of darkness, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great last line. Yeah. I was going to say, hello, George. How are you doing?
Hello. Sorry, just a bit of problem.
It's all right.
Thought I couldn't get into the computer, so tried on the phone, but the phone, it turns out I needed to change settings to get sound and camera. No idea how to do it, but there we are. So here I am. Great to see everybody. Sorry for all the messing about.
It's all right. If you follow Roz, is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just glad to see everybody.
Well, we're glad you're here too, so it's great to see you. All right. We'll go with Jane next.
Okay. I'm going to read this. It's a sort of poetic prose piece, a lyrical prose piece of notes I wrote. I think you've heard it before, Phil. When I was in India. I'll read parts of it anyway. Now, this was a story I'd sooner not have heard. A paralysed king is struck motionless with grief by fratricide. His successor's son stained in the blood of rival brothers, sends his sister to wash their father in the sluice, retrieving the rigid sliding boat of him daily, light as a stowaway child, his ribs an upturned hull. Meanwhile, lovers sleep side by side askew, she central, his corpse an afterthought, a rue to share her quarried tomb. Feet make their circular shuffle, forbidden selfies, voices raised in awe and disappointment echo down the halls. The lovers turn from each other's dirty breath and ripe snores, irritated by every other smell and sound. Somewhere in the park, someone is looking for tigers, shouted inquiries and commands, tires screeching forward and backward over creeks and rocks. Sometimes the tiger is the number one, and the shrieks and cries of the men are more intense. They can say at least we tried as they point out the samba deer and the jackal with desultory disappointment. Sometimes they delight in the tree pies and the macaques landing on the roll bars from the get-go, as if the tiger is incidental among the animals, till that is, he scrolls himself out past us slowly. Huge, he's dangerously away from his mother too soon, like a punk on the streets. He can't survive. He looks away from us in our jeeps and trucks, his pelt in the morning sun sobbing amber. The woman at the window with roses is supposed to scatter petals on visitors below in fragrant welcome, but sometimes she lets them fall when the gate is deserted and the courtyard empty. She watches them drift in space, pleasing no one. From a central dais below, the queen watched dancing girls in private, the king watching her, watching them from above, worshipfully. Sometimes the women rode their horses into war. Everything is something. A simple bloom has stamens that are elephant trunks and tiger tails, petals that are fish and cobra. Sometimes a flower is just a scorpion, and clearly so. A cow waits outside the temple, not knowing it is sacred. Worship is suspended when a place becomes unfit. The space is retained with a lowered flag, indicative of damage or neglect. Everyone is bringing their stories to a stranger like flowers, like lay, their eyes wide with telling. On a high sill filled with detritus and geraniums, a woman beats her long black hair. Lord Ganesh, lazy traveller, prince of the shortcut, cannot please his father who, in thrall to his wife, butchers an elephant pup to give its head and life to her slaughtered son. But sometimes the tiger is number one.
That was great, Jane. How did you come up with that one again?
They're just notes. It's very disjointed because they're notes I never made anything of. I just made notes while I was in India. A lot more than that. Ready for writing up into poetry or I don't know what. But I never got round to it, so now I'm reading the notes instead.
Sometimes the tiger is number one seems horribly prescient somehow, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think they really work, Jane. I think they really work as they are.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's almost like you've found a poem out of all the
notes,
the notes and the lists that you made. Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Okay, Peter, we're back with you.
Well, just to lighten things up, this is going to be very short, and in fact, the introduction is going to be longer than the poem because it's only a haiku. Because the other week I was on a train down to Milton Keynes, and I was the wife and I were sending texts back to each other. So here it is. Texting. You at home, me miles down the West Coast line, touching fingertips.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's really lovely. Do you find yourself writing poems on train journeys a lot?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I need trains because Because usually I've got something in my head by the time I get to Penrith.
Just take very short train journeys and come back again.
Yeah.
That's great.
Mind, a lot of them tend to be about buildings seen along the way.
Okay.
Though not always.
You need that inspiration from looking through the window.
Yeah. Well, I think because it kind of the journey kind of frees up space in your head because you've got nothing else coming in.
And the imagination will wander. That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Roz, what have you got for us?
Precise minute, nothing. I just clicked something and all my word just disappeared. So I think I'm going to have a glitch just now. I was just making sure I was on the right page, and hey ho, it's gone somewhere. I will find it and then I'll get back to you. I've got the ones on paper from last week that you can have. Somewhere.
Have you gone for a hunt of the paper? Okay.
The unpreparedness of poets should be the title of something.
Well, I thought you'd done really well in the first round, you guys. We were looking quite professional for a bit there, but I'm glad that we've returned to the usual standard, which I know and love.
It just would be awful if we were all really good at it, wouldn't it? Oh dear. Oh well, you can have Becoming Gorgeous, which is my poem in the voice of a song. I've been through the mill, was all mixed up, didn't feel like myself. I felt fat, uncomfortable in my own skin. I hid myself inside a blanket, feeling hot and bothered, a little browned off. I turned myself around. Then I joined a group. We attended a cocktail party. Suddenly, I was stabbed through the heart. I felt a sharp, biting pain. I was consumed by love. The last thing I remember was a voice whispering, "What a gorgeous sausage." And that's it.
That's brilliant, Roz. That's great. Thank you so much. All right, George, you've got to follow a poem about a sausage.
Thank you. I wonder if I can take a second just to make an announcement. The reason I'm here, I'm at the Pheasant Inn at Bassenthwaite because I've just been confirming with the Lake District Wildlife Park that I'll be able to announce on Friday that I'm going to be writer in residence for next year. We're going to be setting up a programme of events, etc. So I'll probably be trying to talk to one or two. Kelly, I've seen you every morning, I think, at Right January, which has totally exhausted me. I'm quite glad to have taken the day off today, actually. But I'm hoping that we can get a few people involved in events that are going to take place in the wildlife park.
So is that at Bassenthwaite or?
Yes, the one that used to be called Trotter's. When I first went there, it was Trotter's World of Animals.
Yeah,
it's Armathwaite Hall Hotel.
Quite near Armathwaite Hall. Yeah.
Yeah, it's next door. I think it's the same ownership actually. I think they're all under the one thing.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because they're they're sympathetic farmers, shall we say. And they've got the wildlife park. So I think there's a lot of interest there. Hopefully. We'll see what happens.
Right.
We're going to try it out for a year. So that's why I'm down here.
Are you going to live down here for a year then?
I was meeting them in the afternoon to just talk about it. And, well, we seem to be in a similar idea.
George, that's wonderful news. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Susan Cartwright-Smith she does a writer in residence thing at the Cumbria Wildlife.
Yes, oh yes, aye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite a thing nowadays, but yeah, I've been sort of in touch with them way, but anyway, enough of that. But I think it's interesting stuff. We've still to sort of finalise a programme for 2025, but hopefully there'll be a poetry competition, a a writing competition, poetry and flash fiction, possibly, but we're still to finalise a lot of things. We were just sort of barnstorming today, but I wasn't even certain whether they were going to go for it in total until I came down. But it seemed to go very well, so we'll see.
That's great, George. You should have your own enclosure at the wildlife centre for poets and writers.
Yeah, come and feed me bananas, yeah.
Warning, wild poet.
Don't feed the poets.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got a friend who's got a thing about trying to herd poets, saying that it's worse than trying to gather sheep. You know,
That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry,
anyway,
George.
so I'll give you Naked Witness. This is from the Right January, Kelly. I just brought down some stuff from that. So this is Naked Witness. I want to tell of when the bells on Sunday rang to believers and liars, to dissemblers and to justified, streets filling with Sunday best, hats raised to acknowledge friends, united in the sound of clang and clunk. This gang assembling from grim to smile their faithful smiles, finding voice and meter to join, praising a master who did not want them to slave at machine or desk, or toil in endless fields, only seeking their souls in promises of salvation. I swear I heard those bells and went another way, departed to the wilderness to watch the bees and ants and stare at an empty sky.
Okay.
I can see why you got this poet in residence position
Lovely.
there.
Really lovely.
I'm now having visions of like a wildlife park with different writers, herds of writers and poets. And all sorts. That would be funny.
Yeah. Herds of surrealists.
Yeah, the Dadaists over in the corner. Yeah, Mark Griffiths could have his own section all to it. Yeah. That's great, George. Congratulations. It's really terrific.
Thanks. Well, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it, about the possibilities we're talking about, and seeing what we'll try to do some workshops and potentially a poetry competition, as I say, or a writing competition, because we did agree that probably not to have it just for poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, quite easily we can extend it to do as a flash fiction type thing or short fiction. And actually, let's face it, a lot of poetry nowadays is very akin to a flash fiction type thing. So we'll see how it goes, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
it gives me a reason for coming down here as well.
Well, you visited there, didn't you, a couple of months ago?
Yeah, I've gone there on and off. Actually, I was meeting the guy I think he's the head guy now, and I was meeting him. Maybe I shouldn't have said it, but I said I remember 25 years ago coming to the Bird of Prey exhibition, and you were flying the Birds of Prey, and he said I still do that on and off. So
oh, that's great.
We'll see.
You could do a workshop with a falcon on your arm there.
Well, I was talking in general about how much I fervently believe that writing is really good for people's mental health and well-being, and that so often it's taught as though it's an elitist subject, and it isn't. It should be available to everybody. You maybe not able to all do it as well. The same way sport as well. We sort of give children this idea that unless you're really good at something, you just shouldn't do it.
That's true. Yeah, no, it should be universally accessible. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of some of the most moving things I've listened to have not been the most fantastic poem that you've ever heard, but they're absolutely gut-wrenchingly true.
Yeah. Well, there's power in words. There's power in that. Well, keep us posted with how things progress, because it sounds really interesting, George, and cool. We'll have to venture down on a field trip or something. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, I'm hoping everyone will support it, but I'm hoping everyone will get something out of it. And I'm hoping that, especially with the interest in ecology and the planet and nature being so strong now, and particularly in the poetry community, that this will actually be really, what's the word, empathetic with people, or, you know, interesting to people, and something that they can get behind.
Well, I think, yeah, I think you're the right man in the right place at the right time. It sounds promising. So there's some good news for 2025, everybody. That's great. Okay, I've got this poem here, which is a bit of a stream of consciousness. It's a bit of a strange one. Not sure where it came from, but you're gonna get it anyway. It's called "Do We Have Time for Blissful Ignorance?" Ignorance is not bliss. It's simply ignorance, willful or otherwise, perhaps unwise, devoid of wisdom. If you take a torch to a library, erase those written words, you rob scholars of the future. If it's unknown, you can't count the cost. Empires rise and fall, all the things we knew at once were lost. So the story goes. But who knows? Is Times New Roman the font of all knowledge? Time is ours, but for a moment. And time stood still when I saw you. If you take me by the hand, must the weight of all that's past rest upon our shoulders? Do we have the time to indulge in blissful ignorance? Or are we ignorant of bliss? A forgotten memory of a forgotten kiss, forgotten in the sands of time. Buried in shifting sand dunes, fractures of memory emerge as a hollow wind blows, revealing too much before dust devils gobble up shards of our past. Skin cracks in a dry heat, through twin hemispheres, shimmering grains slide, forever moving like the tide. We freeze moments, capture memory, but we can't jump the tracks we're on. Time is now, it ebbs and flows, is often wasted. It is a currency you can't cash in. How you spend it is up to you. Find time, blow a kiss, make a wish, revel in knowing ignorance isn't bliss. There you are. Thanks very much. Right, Kelly.
Okay. Right. Another one from the January writing hour. This is a rather sad prose poem. A history of my relationship with my father through gifts. Aged 9 or 10, I saved up my pocket money to buy you a silk tie for your birthday. I chose it from a local menswear shop, wrapped and presented it to you on my weekly visit. You and Mum didn't live together anymore, and I was like a shuttlecock on Saturdays, back and forth between your houses. I was excited as you opened the gift, but you didn't hide your disappointment. Why did you buy me this? I think you said, holding up the strip of limp fabric. Other attempts to buy you presents usually failed, so I stuck to a book token or a bottle of Bailey's, always a safe bet. For most of my adult life, you have given me a check. Once, when you visited us up north, you bought some woven cushion covers from Israel, and I thanked you fulsomely, as Mum had taught me to do. You then repeatedly bought me woven cushion covers from Israel until I was finally, excruciatingly, forced to admit that I had never liked them at all. And you took my confession as proof that your unshakable honesty was the best course. You have always been scrupulously honest, and I have always been a people pleaser. And gifts became a joyless transaction, me sending you a book token, you sending me a cheque. Now you can no longer walk to the post box, but you can still write your shaky signature on a cheque when we visit. Thanks. Sad.
Yeah, it's powerful, that, Kelly. Very personal. Thank you for sharing that. It's funny the way that there are those sort of traditions and rituals that kind of build up in families, and yeah, you can get lumbered with things simply through being polite and not saying, "Oh, I don't want that. I don't like that." Yeah.
I find it impossible to say that. He always found it very easy, even to a child.
Oh, people are funny, aren't they? Jane, hello, we're with you. I think you're on mute there, Jane. The button. Yeah.
Yeah, the screen froze before and I couldn't do it, but it's okay now. Am I still okay? No. Yes? Okay. This time of year, I'm spending a fortune on feeding birds in the garden. I've got a lot of birds, and I've got a lot of blackbirds, which I think is unusual, as they're very territorial, but they're different ones. The larger ones are English blackbirds, but some smaller ones that we've got are probably Scandinavian, I think, and they're less territorial. They're just hungry, very, very hungry. And lots of starlings, equally hungry, robins, and all the usual English birds that stay. So it's costing a great deal to feed them. But the blackbirds are particularly lovely. They don't fly away when I go outside to feed them, which is so lovely to be that close to something that can fly away from you and doesn't. This is about a blackbird. I think it's about a blackbird. Yes, it is. A young female blackbird explodes on my window, comes down like a star. I watch her closely at a distance, as I've done for other birds who can cuss here on my house. Sometimes they nest into the gravel, then rise like mate-seeking autumn spiders, flailing beneath a cannonade of toxins or the internment of a downturned glass. I have this plumped pomfret of black bin liner and towel, which Frey's tucked under, ready. The open tweezer of beak remains stuck, her eye dulls. She stretches as if basking and rolls over stiffly on her side. Garden clogs are on wrong feet. I run to scoop her up, crooning and massaging in whispers. She smells of dust and clothes. Indoors, a blurred new planet of swan-necked faucets, trees of mugs, a wet bleached walkway of draining board could well be the last sliver of anything she sees. A drizzle of tap water spatters fluoride for the piano of my fingers, beads her head and beak. Silently, she speaks and swallows. Her blind eye rolls up halfway. A ball bearing of water hits it like a blackbird splays on a window. I wonder if her neck is broken. I say things I wouldn't normally say. I stroke her head with my forefinger, but this is completely for myself. We go outside. I take her in, her tweed still pillowed by some young feathers furled at the quill. A chest like stitched moss. She feels heavy in my lap, as if soaking through the cloth, though she is oiled shut and as light as sherbet. A claw grips my middle finger. She hinges upward on one leg. I check beneath her. the other one's a child's lifted crab of helplessness. Emboldened, I stack her shuffled tail, make her neat for whatever's next. She moves her neck. Not broken then. She fixes me with her full beam, the side-swipe shutter of her third lid back in action. A rainbow judders up the lens like a lantern slide. I withdraw my touch while she tries the wing on her good side, like a dancer extending a pose. It works. The curled arachnid of her clutch leg begins to flex, and she wobbles up. My third eye blurs. Wait, you haven't tried that other wing, but that too works. As far as the guttering, where she sits, unusual, back to me, for about as long as she held me captive. I like that, birds.
It was a great poem and a lot of great imagery in that, Jane. That was, yeah, that was lovely. And a happy ending.
Yes, indeed. Yep. I have lots of happy endings here. I had a crow over the summer that didn't fly for 4 or 5 months. Couldn't fly, and then finally did fly. I fed her. It was a female crow, and people kept saying to me, something will get her, a fox will get her, or a hawk will get her, but it didn't, and she survived and flew, which was lovely.
Oh, fantastic. You've obviously got the knack. You're like Dr. Dolittle or something.
Yeah, very like.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay. Peter, do you have something else for us? Oh, you're on mute there, Peter. That's all right.
Right, we've got more from Italian. This is from a Neapolitan poet called Carlo Felice Colucci, 1927 to 2015. And given what's coming towards us, this is George, having mentioned salvation, here is the coming weather. In all areas, conditions of overcast, rainy, calm, or almost getting more humid, or maybe not. Overseas with a significant swell or flat, the arthritis will pain less or more, while other possibilities include night mists in the dales of the north and the vales of the south, from here to Heliogabalus. With my ever-changeable mood, the rest is stasis and the data immutable, that we will bump up against uselessly for an improbable salvation.
I think they should do the weather forecast like that more often.
Yes.
The Heliogabalus, that's a little bit of an in-joke between me and somebody I knew called Jeff Holloway, who was a great poet. And once upon a time, he had a poem which included Heliogabalus as if it was a place name. And I pointed out to him that Heliogabalus was in fact the name of one of the most spectacularly bonkers Roman emperors. So, but he didn't take it badly. In fact, he said almost like Don Juan to Leporello, "Meglio ancora," better, even better.
Oh yeah, there's something. Yeah, that works. That makes sense. That's great. Thank you, Peter. That was great. Roz, hello.
Hear me now, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you have to have bon voyage to sail on Elon, because that's all I have now. Your spaceship awaits you and your chosen few. It'd be nice if you included Donald too. The left behinds know what they'll do after those with Mr. Musk have headed deep into the dusk. So sail on, Elon. Very soon you'll be gone at the start of your new dawn. There'll be no one left on Earth who'll mourn. In fact, we'll all rejoice at your adventurous choice. We'll proclaim our love for this world. All our banners will be unfurled when our rising earth warrior forces stop depleting all her resources and get on with her restoration with simple earthbound elation at this worldly paragon when all those who thought they knew better are gone, all following Elon, their godlike master, believing his mission cannot end in disaster. So I wish you bon voyage. Just piss off, Elon. I pity the planet you land upon.
Love that ending.
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Says it all, Russ. Says it all. Thank you. George, have you got something for us?
Yeah, I'm going to do a story I don't usually include in my poetry. Joy. Joy. On my road to work, enclosed in Hillman Imp, I sped in hopes of youth to earn wages and have cash weighty in trouser pockets, ready for a Saturday romance. Racing dull and slower cars, who I so loved to flip past, insecurity driven away, invincible, indestructible, invulnerable, me here in the grey December dawn. Stench of the glue factory seeping into my cell, making me ponder again where all the dead horses came from in numbers to keep the factory bubbling. Ahead, the sign that lets my journey end with a cackle and grin-stuck teeth flashing, white like a pair of extra headlights. Private Joy car park, employees only. And I want to turn in with innuendo to experience my own interpretation.
Very good. Very good.
Thanks, George. You have a way with words.
It was just, it always made me laugh stupidly. Every morning on my way to work, I laughed when I passed the Joy Engineering Factory, which had a sign about 40 feet high above the car park. Well, I'm exaggerating, but 20 feet high and huge lettering, Private Joy Car Park. And I thought of all the young people in Greenock who used to probably go there to enjoy their own version.
Wonderful. I have to leave now for my tea, but great to see you all. See you next time.
Thank you,
Bye.
Kelly.
See you.
Right. How are we doing? Are we in the mood for a little story? Oh, thank goodness you said that, because I hadn't got a plan B. Okay. This is another installment of the ongoing adventures of a certain feathered private investigator and George's favorite stories. And if you haven't heard this for a while, it's not going to make any sense, because this third series of Kung Fu Penguin is straying into investigating the paranormal. But it's time to go and make a cup of tea or watch some TV or something. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Here's a recap of what's been going on. This is Kung Fu Penguin, Series 3, Episode 9. Previously, private investigator Kung Fu Penguin, disgraced physics professor and paranormal podcaster Davinia Brush, space adventurer Ray Beam, mystic Alaska May Fortune, and General Malaise accompanied Professor Schrodinger aboard a submarine to a location in the Mariana Trench. A strange sphere of blue light appeared, and Kung Fu Penguin had set out to investigate. Meanwhile, General Malaise decided to question Professor Schrodinger using Miss Fortune's hypnotic powers, only to discover millionaire businessman Brian Piccolo has the metallic Moscovian core he is after. Are we with it so far? Because there's questions afterwards. Suddenly, a bright flash illuminates the subterranean canyon. A power outage strikes the sub, and Kung Fu Penguin is caught in the mysterious beam of light. He floats motionless in the deep waters of the Mariana Trench, before being enveloped by a shimmering azure glow. Kung Fu Penguin appears to have witnessed some kind of spiritual out-of-body experience. Suddenly, the golden doorway that had appeared before him vanished, as a large plume of bubbles sprang forth from the submarine. Something was heading at high velocity in the direction of the stricken diver. And now we continue with someone else's show. And because I'm also trying to pitch this as a musical, we've got a couple of songs here. So this is the song, and it's not the usual song because someone else has stepped in. Ray Beam, going to places you've never been. Ray Beam, adventure taken to the extreme. Ray Beam, where nothing is what it may seem. Ray Beam, truth stranger than what you might dream. Ray Beam is on a rescue mission that's true, to save the penguin from the ocean blue. Gliding through deep waters like a shark, there's always an answer from this bright spark. Right now he's got to save this feathered friend from meeting such a grisly end. Look out! Don't you come within range. You're going to encounter the weird, deadly and strange. Entities of goodness, entities of badness, conjured by happiness, or manifested from sadness. Ray Beam! Here comes a hero supreme. Ray Beam! Fired like a torpedo from a submarine. Ray Beam! To be believed, his feats have got to be seen. Ray Beam! His adventures belong not on radio, but the big screen. It's Ray Beam! Ray Beam! Ray Beam! The dashing silver fox of a space adventurer reached the unconscious Kung Fu Penguin and quickly placed a new oxygen mask around his mouth. We'll fix this in post. And quickly placed a new oxygen mask around his mouth. Then he radioed to Sub. General Malaise, I'm happy to report I've got him. He's in a bad way. We're returning to the Sub now. A short time later, in the medical bay, that's my normal voice. A short time later, in the medical bay of the Sub, the feathered private detective was happily chatting with a group of strange companions gathered around his sickbed. Davinia smiled and placed her paw on his flipper caringly. We were all so worried about you. Not me. I knew you'd be okay. He hoped Alaska May Fortune's words were meant with kindness. Kung Fu Penguin turned to the figure of Ray Beam. Thanks for saving my life. Well, what are friends for, eh? It was strange. I felt sure I was a goner. There was this golden doorway and a voice, and I saw my body floating below me in the water. Oh my God! That sounds just like you had an out-of-body experience. I've got to get this for my Dr. Bobcat Investigates podcast. Can we do an interview? Now? There's no time like the present. Dr. Brush pulled out her smartphone and hit record. I'm here with my friend Kung Fu Penguin, who's just had the most extraordinary experience. Perhaps you can tell us about it. I have a choice. She ignored the sarcasm like water off a penguin's back. So what was it like to die and come back from the other side? And then we segue into another musical number because I've been working overtime this week. and I was a close second to Timothy Chalamet for this film that's come out recently. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
This sail was drowning, all lost at sea. I went out of my body and out of my mind. Of all the time I did lose track. And now you better watch out, 'cause as you can see, I am back. I've got more lives than a cat. So far I'm up to number 3. It'll take a lot more than that to get rid of me. I've got to imagine a harmonica playing there, and then we'll go into this next bit. I went on a journey, met a spiritual guide. I found out secrets of this here universe. Destiny leads us to our fate, and sometimes it really hurts. I got so much to think about, my head is buzzing like a bee. It'll take a lot more than that to get rid of me. I had no fear that my time had come. Death is an illusion, it's not the end of the line. There's those who found a solution. They call it the power of the mind. That could have been the end of me. Now, darling, don't you see? It'll take a lot more than that to get rid of me. It'll take a lot more than that to get rid of me. At that moment, General Malay strode into the sick bay. He gave the detective an icy stare and a poor review. I want to report, Penguin. You were out there for hours. What the hell was going on with that blue light? No, I was only out there for a few minutes. 20 minutes at the most. You were out there for 4 hours. What? Yes, power on the old sub was taken offline. It took hours to fix it. You were adrift out there alone. That's not possible. How could I have lost 4 hours like that? Kung Fu Penguin snapped his fingers, much like the sound effect I just did there. But time flies when you're having fun. Or it's warped by gravity or something that manipulates gravitational fields, like that curious blue orb, Professor Brush chipped in. There are theories in physics about it. That's quite enough of that, Miss Brush, snapped the General. Suddenly there was a great rumbling sound, and a blue light lit up the sub. As quickly as it began, the shaking subsided, and there was silence. General Malaise walked to the wall, hit the communication button, and snarled into the receiver. What the hell was that, crewman? Report. Sir, navigation report. We're in a different location. With a metallic clunk, the hatch at the top of the submarine's tower opened. A puzzled General Malaise looked out and took in the view around his big black submersible. There, in every direction, was miles and miles of desert. I guess the tide must be out, chuckled a voice from the figure stood beside a military jeep. The General simply looked agog at the bear of a man, as Dr. Brush, Miss Fortune, Ray Beam, Professor Schrodinger, and Kung Fu Penguin appeared. The detective frowned. Rick Splinter? What are you doing here? More to the point, what are you doing back here? Where are we? The Piccolo Institute for Science of the Strange. We've been taken to Pish. Seems strangely appropriate. There's a lot of unusual things going on, and I think Piccolo has more answers than he shared with us on our last visit. Yes, and I, for one, want to get to the bottom of it. There could be a girl's life at stake. Professor Schrodinger piped up. I don't know if that's a good idea. Well, Professor, muttered the General, looks like we're going to find out about that metallic artifact you found. Let's go and talk to Mr. Piccolo. What will our heroes learn from the eccentric millionaire Brian Piccolo in the study of the science of the strange? What does General Malaise have planned for the Moscovian Corps? How will he explain to the Navy why their submarine is in the desert? Will the blue light be held responsible for his insurance claim? Can Ray Beam find the missing girl, Trudy Window, and return to the world from which they came? Will they get any answers, or simply more baffling questions? Find out next time on Kung Fu Penguin. There you are. It's baffling, baffling, baffling. Thank you for being very patient and very sweet people. There you are. There you go, George. That was the latest instalment. Who's next? Jane, I think it's you have to follow that.
Oh, oh, really? Am I on mute or?
We can hear you. Yeah, hi.
Okay. I was going to read something by Robert Burns because we're coming up to Burns night, aren't we? But I could only find things I normally sing, so we won't do that.
You sing beautifully. I mean, you could regale us with a song if you wish.
I haven't got original sound on. It'll sound awful. I mean, it would anyway, but it would sound ridiculous.
No, it sounds lovely.
Have you got original sound on?
Yeah, I found the button halfway through doing the Kung Fu Penguin songs.
Okay, so where do I find that?
Are you on a laptop or an iPad or what?
iPad.
Oh, I don't know. It'll be in settings somewhere down by the audio setting. Would you want to try the first line and we can tell you whether it works or not?
Not really. I think I'll read
Okay. I tried to get us something special there, guys. Someone who can really sing, but you stuck with me.
What I will do is read a border ballad instead. Yeah. Which again I would normally sing, but I won't. I'll read it. It reads okay, and it rhymes, and people would love that from me. So it's called "The Laird of Gilnockie and the Good Man of Ballingeach." It was a bright and crisp morning that Armstrong did arrive. Outside the lands he lauded, his warriors at his side. It was to meet with James V by invitation unexpected, but to meet to offer shared respect Johnny Armstrong had elected. The king was there among his men in the place where Johnny poached, but Johnny was the braver man, and Johnny did approach. "My gracious liege, I honoured am, as here I kneel before thee, and kiss your hand, a humble man, and ask, what can I now do for ye? Well, there is nothing you can do, not now nor never ever, for I have brought you hither by you from your life to sever. Goodbye, farewell to Johnny, you giant of this place. I've brought you here to die in fear and betray you to your face. My father was a gracious king and in the fields a flower, but I'll cut down a hallowed thief, I too will feel my power. You're a wicked man, John, the elder in your sin, and now the reckoning for your crimes is ready to begin. James, you are too a wicked man, and no but 17, but God has given you a crown and given you the means. Oh, James, your cloak and crown's too big, young, cruel, devoid of pity. Oh, will you fell this warrior lord to mask your mediocrity? Says Johnny, I will bring thee steeds, milk white and full of running. Though power I lack in this debate, I do not lack in cunning. Gold and silver too I bring, with horses 4 and 20. No gifts I lack in my reaver's sack, and I will bring thee plenty. Is there nothing here you will accept, whose father fell at Flodden? He was a flower of the field, and you're a rosebud rotten. Oh, Johnny, you've misjudged me, and my sleight of hand. You and all your men brought hence will hang at my command. All will leave their orphan bairns, their wives weep by the fire, as with your friends heaped in the ditch, briars weave your funeral bier. So you will die, thou hapless man, as many died before you, who rue their meetings with your clan and gave lives and riches for you. And you too will die, thou callous king. No lass lives but you have harmed her, a coward on my battlefield, a boy disguised in armour. Goodbye, farewell, you rivers flow, the Liddel, Esk and Tweed. My border lands, these willing hands, the earth are now to feed. Goodbye, farewell, you hills of green, you tides and marsh and sands. Adieu, adieu to you, adieu, you lovely, unowned lands. Done. The fateful meeting of James V and the Reaver Johnny Armstrong.
That's great. And we've got Janetto. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Janetto.
Oh, yes, I'm on. I'm here. Yeah, I was just having a tidy up of emails and thought, oh, it's SpeakEasy. Can I come along? Can I play?
It's good to see you. We've only got about a minute and a half for this round, but I'll try and twist people's arms and do one more pass. But you doing all right?
Yes, you all.
Yeah, good. George has got some exciting news. So,
Oh, George, come on, tell us.
tell us in 1 minute, George, what's the exciting news? And we're not supposed to tell anybody, but he's on mute. But that's why he can't tell you. Come off mute, George.
I've just come down to Lakeland Wildlife Park, and I'm to be writer in residence for 2025, and we'll see how that goes and perhaps going onwards. So keep an eye open for exciting programme to happen at the wildlife park. Hopefully.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's brilliant. Well deserved.
Thanks.
Yeah, hope to come and see you.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping everyone will get involved, and we're going to try there'll be a writing competition probably, and hopefully other things. And I'm hoping we might even manage a residential writing course at some stage.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's brilliant news. You made my night.
You've only been on the call for 2 minutes. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's it. I can log out now.
We have to sign back in anyway, so just use the same login.
Yeah, I would stay hidden. I might pass through Wigton on the way home.
Oh, yeah, call in. Yeah. Oh, no, I mean that though. I mean, no, message. I'll tell you where I am.
I'll be rushing to beat the weather, I think.
Yeah, there's quite a little gathering of writers in Wigton, isn't there? With Janetto, Jane.
Yeah, I think there's one on is it a Friday in Twisted Willow? But it's when I'm at work, you see. So.
No, I think it's going to be exciting. We'll see what happens, Jeanette. But we've agreed it in principle, and I came down to confirm. I'd proposed it to them and talked to them about it. So I came down to confirm that I can say writer in residence, and I'll say on Friday, hopefully at the CACN, Phil, that people to keep an eye on for events happening or things happening, programme or things, keep an eye out for it. It's all still to be finalised, of course, but I'm hoping we can expand it beyond the writing side. I'm thinking about the people through CACN, Phil, who do the dance and other, music, etc. Because the arts are so important for people. Although the government, often, as far as people with money, don't see it that way.
But they like to buy their paintings for the houses, don't they? And the books, and they still enjoy art themselves, don't they?
Yeah, but they get worried, for instance, about accident and emergency at hospitals being inundated with people. And a lot of it is like, I've got a neighbour just now, and part of the problem that she keeps phoning for ambulances and things is because her mind isn't taken up with anything else. If she had a hobby of some kind that had been encouraged as a youngster to knit, sew, paint, read, anything, she wouldn't, as an old lady, been sitting in front of a window staring at a blank wall.
Yeah,
it's a huge sadness.
Yeah, because I think there's a bit of creativity in everybody, isn't there? Well, there is, more than a bit.
Yeah, I was talking earlier, Jeanette, that from children we're kind of taught that you've got to be good at something to do it. Instead of just saying, just enjoy doing it. And whatever level you're at, you can get fun out of it, I think. At least that's the way I see it.
Yeah, and if that passion comes across, it makes it work, whatever it is.
Well, we'll see.
It's exciting stuff, George. So we're keen to see what you conjure up.
It's funny. It's funny that's about having to be good at something, because nobody ever says you've got to be good at football to play it.
No.
And I know very well that the number of times I've tried kicking a ball against the wall with my left foot to try and improve my left foot, and it still never got any better.
Yeah. But it's true. I mean, people actually... But I mean, I fell out with someone once who said he was so delighted when he was 12 years old, his parents introduced him to poetry. And I thought, it sounds as though it's some elitist thing that someone lets you into, And I said, but children from 4, 3, 2, they're chanting little rhymes. They love a little song or a rhyme or
it's a way of remembering things, isn't it? You know, and our times tables, one is one, you know, and so, you know, that pattern, you know, it's not just, it works on lots of levels. I was just looking it up here. Maybe you all watched it anyway, but there's a good TED talk by Sir Ken Robinson called "Do Schools Kill Creativity?" It's well worth a listen or a re-listen if you haven't listened to it before. It speaks a lot of sense.
We had a great art teachers came along one time, and I still remember him talking to us about the fact, why do we always paint the sky as blue? Why do you always paint things in the same colours? And I actually did a painting of Jesus in a temple where the sky is yellow, as orange. Reversed it round. Instead of it being the desert, the sky was orange and the ground was blue.
We'd be walking on water there, George.
Yeah.
Sunset
Well,
over the
kind of
sea.
blue, a bluey green, but I mean.
That's his parlour tricks. You know, there we go. A miracle. Sorry, a miracle. There we are. Okay, we're all back in the room. We're with Peter.
Given the mood at the start, I thought I'd do another one that's kind of appropriate to the events at the moment. And this, I've actually read this one out at the source before today, but I think it bears repeating. It's by Michael Hamburger from his collection Real Estate, and it's spoken in the character of Gonzalo, the old courtier in The Tempest, and it's Gonzalo afterthoughts. A happy ending. Well, we might have carried corpses away as usual, clamped into doom's machinery. Back to its element, air. The spirit was released, and easily. The poor forked animal, this once not punished for being what it is. No wickedness punished, as though for once air need not war against earth, nor will impose a truce. And all went home, some to begin a day with a new marriage, with a new government, perhaps more honest, a little than the last. Others to sleep. Where I go, rid for a while of the urge to prattle of the good commonwealth I envisaged there, before we all went home, even he so close to founding it when he was lord of the book. Lord of illusions, godlike as our maker, and islands, whole worlds, who now will sleep, known by his works, the authorship in doubt? But can we sleep? He, the dreamer who dreamed us awake, himself a dreamer's dream, and never real, though true, can our play end? The commonwealth that never was lives on, as Naples and Milan do, or the island Caliban has usurped. Awake, asleep. The wise old man, the silly chatterbox, half-brother to Polonius, will make you laugh, now, even now, at his cloud cuckoo land. No kind of traffic, riches, poverty, and use of service, none. Contract, succession, no sovereignty, treason, felony, sword, pike, knife, gun, or need of any engine. Enough. The gist's familiar. Innocence, love that lets be, a mind at peace with nature. Your nightmare, grabbers and manipulators. I who have served and suffered your designs know how you dread the dream, but melt in it, vanish, go down, as I do, into sleep. One with the dream that was before I waked, and will be, though the fabric of this earth yields to your blasting. There can be no end.
That was great, man. That was yeah. That's a really powerful piece, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the poem I aspire to.
Yeah. Wow. Powerful stuff. Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Roz, follow that.
I've just found this one. Kelly did one for her dad, one I did for my dad, although it's not as sad as hers. It's called Daffodils. The daffodil, Welsh national flower. In his mind, he was always a Welshman, despite not living there for most of his life. As a young man, he came to Cumbria for work. He raised a family, bought a house and grew old before he finally rooted in 6 foot of northern soil in the cemetery, this town where the poet was born. Now hosts of golden daffodils dance around him in acceptance of his life lived in Cumbria, where he sleeps content among the daffodils. And that was that. It's weird, it's got a funny structure. It goes downhill like that at the end of each line. And I don't remember if it was to be anything or if that's just how it looked.
No, that was really lovely. Thank you, Ros. And George, we're with you.
Well, I surprisingly, the last poem was about joy. So this one is about 13 thoughts to keep you cheerful. 1. Life does not last forever. 2. Even some heroes have flat feet. 3. A broken clock may be right twice a day, but most times is wrong. Even God is unknown to the ant. Sometimes the matches work. Even sober people cry. 7. Drink water, save electricity, save the planet. 8. Even a 200-year-old whale hasn't been to the moon. 9. Burnt toast is said to be good for your guts. 10. Even left-handed people play the piano. 11. You can always turn up the volume in the car radio. 12. Even that little white dot on the TV died. 13. No one is successful in the cemetery.
A gravedigger makes a fortune in the cemetery, George.
Actually, there was I think there was a concerto for the left hand written by Ravel.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. But I'm always amazed, well, particularly the crematory, the necropolis in Glasgow. There's these huge monuments to people, obviously, who had decided if they couldn't take it with them, they were going to leave a lot of it buried in the ground.
Yeah.
Well, that goes back a long way.
Yeah. So that'd be gravediggers and stonemasons then. Yeah. I'm glad you're in a happy mood, George. Wouldn't want you getting too sad at this time of year. Those winter blues. Oh, good stuff. Okay, Janetto.
George, I've got a confession to make. When you posted that on Facebook on the 5th of Feb, I took a screenshot because I loved it, and it's there as a note to self, and I'm going to write it up in my favourite poems little notebook. That's all right with you?
I forgot I posted it up, actually.
Yeah, no, that's the very one. Yeah, as soon as you started reading it, I thought, oh, I've got a screenshot of that.
I've rewritten, but by the way, I've rewritten 3, because I had it in there as a broken clock is right twice a day, but that's a very well-known sort of, and I thought it's much better to say it may be right twice a day, but most times it's wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's a much happier thing to think about.
It's more real. Yeah. No, it's brilliant. Right. What I've got here is my OU textbook, because there's a poem I come across the other night. It's called The Real Reason by Ada Limon. I don't know if you've heard of it or heard the poem. I hadn't, but it kind of stopped me in my tracks. It's called The Real Reason. I don't have any tattoos. It's not my story to tell. It's my mother's. Once, walking down Bedford Avenue in my 20s, I called her as I do. I told her how I wanted a tattoo on the back of my neck, something minor but permanent, and she's an artist. I wanted her to create the design, a symbol, a fish I dream of every night, an underwater talisman, a mother's gift on my body. To be clear, I thought she'd be honoured. But do we ever really know each other fully? A silence like a hospital room. She was in tears. I swore that I wouldn't get one. Wouldn't let a needle touch my skin, my arm, my torso. I'd stay me, my skin, the skin she welcomed me into the world with. It wasn't until later that I knew it wasn't so much the tattoo, but the marking, the idea of scars. What you don't know, and this is why this is not my story, is that my mother is scarred from burns over a great deal over her body, most from an explosion that took her first child she was carrying in her belly, others from skin grafts where they took skin to cover what needed it. She was in her late 20s when that happened, outside her studio in the centre of town. You have to understand, my mother is beautiful, tall and elegant, thin and strong. I have not known her any other way. Her skin I map with my young fingers, its strange hardness in places, its patterns like quilts here, riverbeds there. She is wondrous, preternatural, survived fire, the ending of an unborn child, heat and flames and death, all made her into something seemingly magical, a phoenixess. What I know now is she wanted something else for me to wake each morning and recognise my own flesh. For this thing she made me to remain how she intended, for one of us to make it out unscathed. It's quite something,
powerful.
isn't it? I'm sorry, I didn't do it justice in the reading there with my stumbles and not knowing how to pronounce a word, but it is a great poem.
No, you read that beautifully. It was very powerful. That was, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You know, when I was reading it, just like, oh, yeah.
Wow. Whew. Well, that's brought us to the end of another round. Do we want to stop there, or do we want to do one last quick spin round the room? One last go? Yeah? Okay. I've got another one of Tony Hendry's poems here, and because of the bad weather forecast, that reminded me of his poem Desmond, which John's read on many occasions, hasn't he? Haynes, West Indies opening batsman who piled on runs with Gordon Greenidge. Tutu, a churchman with a wondrous laugh, who battled apartheid and intolerance. Decca, a Jamaican ska and reggae hero, writer of Israelites, died in Thornton Heath. Lynham, a consummate sports broadcaster, born ready mustachioed in County Clare. These, not the storm that rocked my city, are proper Desmonds. It was what it was, a set of isobars not looking for a name. Its cold physics collided with geography to fetch floods, dinghies, foul deposits and roadside piles of spoilt endeavour. Sling storm names onto sodden sofas, for anthropomorphism is 16 letters of junk, and consider local Desmonds, whose chaffing mates in pubs and offices will tag them evermore as scapegoats. Think of Desmonds, rooted by a namesake, and pregnant mums seeking other names. Think of such issues repeating like burps in future storms. Frank, Henry, Imogen, Phil, and other cosy names for the inhuman. Stop the storm names now. And that was Tony Hendry's little comment on that. Jane.
It's called Lassie, Would You Love Me? And it's by Robert Burns. O gyn I were a baranser, And could I braid with gems your hair, and make ye broad as ye are fair, O lassie, would you love me? And I could take ye to the town, and show ye broadsides money on, and bask ye fine in silken gown. O lassie, would ye love me? Or should ye be content to prove in lowly life's unfading love a heart that not on earth could move? O lassie, would you love me? And ere the laverock wing the sky, say what ye to the forest high, and work with me, say merrily, O lassie, could ye love me? And when the broad moon glistens o'er a wee bit field and heathery muir, will ye now greet for years sae pure, or lassie, though I love ye? For I had naught to offer ye, no gold from mine, nae pearl frae sea, nor am I come o high degree. O lassie, but I love ye. Robert Burns.
Oh, that was lovely. And Tony was such a big fan of Burns. And
Yeah, I'm a fan of Burns.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, lovely singing voice.
I don't know what it sounds like without the original sound. Must sound awful, but still.
It sounded good. And I've been relegated to the second best singer this evening, unless George is going to sing this next round, and then I'll be the third best.
There
singer.
were already two of us.
It sounded lovely. Thank you very much, Jane. Peter, do you have another for us?
Yes, it'll be haggis and whiskey for me on Saturday night as well. So mentions made just before of somebody who wasn't native but had ended up being buried in this county. So I've got one about somebody who that happened to, which was the late Bill Scammell, who was from Hampshire and ended up living here and finally died here, and he's buried at Bromfield near Spatria. And it takes its cue from a poem of Bill's about being late for Norman Nicholson's funeral. And because of circumstances, I didn't get to hear about Bill's funeral until, Bill having died, until the funeral was taking place. So this is about missing the funeral and then going to visit the graveside. And it's Bromfield unvisited and visited. Bill, you were late for Norman's funeral, but hearing of it only 2 hours before and stuck in the office without any cover, I missed out completely on yours. You always told me I ought to jump ship. All the noise there must be rotting your brain. But it wasn't the noise that did me this time, but the light, the 20 years under the strip lights, leaving me wanting to be out more and more, and under the big one, the real live sun, finding blessing in rough wind and gentle breeze. Come my day off, I upped, walking out with my bins, while the message to the office was never passed on, and the phone rang at home while I got my fix of light that would have told me you had gone into the dark. Bit of Hampshire's turned to solid Cumberland. I suppose it's as good a place as any, to lie with a statesman from Wordsworth's day, the shallow valley beyond the churchyard facing Criffel, Skidder's Tip behind the ridge. And I got there at last on a day of sunshine, light strengthening as winter turned to spring. A chaffinch sang and a dunnock. Well, you knew I'd put in something on the birds. Fieldfares ransacked the hedgerows of berries, while a robin tutted over his territory, and a blackbird clucked his disapproval of every other male blackbird in the world.
Mm. That's lovely.
Yeah, that was really, really nice.
Really good. Really good.
Bill had a tutorial once with Bill, and he said that I had some talent that I tended to stand a little bit behind my material. I didn't fully engage with it, so I feel with that one that I achieved it.
Mm.
Well, that was a good piece. That was lovely.
Really, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roz, we're with you again.
We put this from me now. It's on the same bit of what do you call it? Same workbook thing as the other one I just read. And it's feeling prickly, which is the thing because you said about George being miserable in the winter. So I'm feeling very prickly. I hate it when the clocks go back. Suddenly the days get too short. The evenings become lost to the darkness. They feel cold, threatening. I don't like to leave my house or engage with the outside world. I want to hibernate, do nothing except sleep, waking only to eat until the lengthening days return in spring. I'm inclined to think it probably must be, at least I've concluded there's a distinct possibility that somewhere deep in my ancestry, there's a hedgehog gene lurking in me. No, that would be silly. Do beg your pardon.
I'm going to bring you some mealworms to Cockermouth.
That was great, Roz. Brilliant. There could be a little bit of hedgehog sort of DNA in most people, I think. Hibernation.
I think at times there is, yeah.
Yeah. That was great. Thank you. George, we're with you.
Well, this is another from Right January, which is a well-educated palate. Do not say drunk, say wine connoisseur, with years of tastings, a red wine sommelier, matador of the bottles, who has poured hours into finding this rosy view to throw a cape over his troubles. So put a cork in your insults, your superior attitude, as if he had fallen, for this is a man who knows enjoyment, slightly happy, well, actually, delightfully inebriated.
Say no more. Thank you, George. Excellent stuff. And
I'm missing my glass of wine. I usually sit and drink it while we're enjoying this.
Forgotten about that. Yeah.
You have to get another one, George. You get another.
Well, I was frightened I would spill it in the hotel bed.
Get white next time.
You won't be the poet in residence there then. I'm still thinking that you should have some kind of poetry enclosure as an exhibit, and there'll be the animals and the birds of prey and the poet, and there's the writer, there's his enclosure, and then we just move on to the other.
Well, I have to admit, I was walking around the park today, and I came across this workman building a new bit of enclosure behind the fence. And I thought of shouting through to him, "Excuse me, are you endangered?" And then I thought he might not accept the humour in that. I better just shut up and walk on.
That's brilliant. He's like, yeah, I'll put double chicken wire on this poet's enclosure now.
I don't mind, Phil, but are you going to institute a breeding program?
That's opening a whole nother topic. Well, we have to like bring over like pandas from far-flung lands and try and get them to write poetry, and they're just not in the mood for it.
Is that pandas or penguins?
Well, I mean, who knows? I mean, the imagination runs wild. Anyway, Janetto, have you got something?
I've got a bit called One for the Road, an anthology of pubs and poetry. And the poem I'll try to read, is The Vic by Mike Di Placido. Early for the reunion, I reclaim my old corner stool, look in the mirror behind the optics, and watch myself enter, singing Sinatra. The barmaids smile, refuse proposals, including marriage, and pull the pints. He's amazed at my coke, regards it as witchcraft, some potion ringed by garlic, and wants it replaced. I politely refuse. Then he's off, talking to anyone who'll listen, till they, too, return away, leaving him with his only option, the door and the night.
That's really good.
Have
you one of your own you want to share with us, or you?
No, because I haven't tonight actually. But I might indulge you by whatever, because this next module is poetry. So maybe at the next one, whatever I come up with, I'll run by you.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there we are. I've got one more poem, and that will bring us to a close. This is New Year's resolutions. It goes like this. How about no wars in the world? Making people's homelands safe. Why not stop the fighting? Finding ways to build bridges is more valuable than dividing us. Be more considerate. Listen before rashly speaking. Respectfully disagree. You won't all agree with me. Try to be kind to one and all, and to yourself. Learn to say no if you really can't, and value the time together before we say goodbye. There you are. That's the New Year's resolution. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming along and sharing so much really good work. That was been a great night. Give yourselves a round of applause for everyone who read and everyone who sang. Well, we know who the proper singer was. Everyone who listened, and yeah, thank you all for coming along.
Thanks, Phil.
We'll do it again next month.
Thank you.
And you look after yourselves. Stay safe in the stormy weather that's forecast, and get home safe, and we'll do this again soon. So thank you very much.
Bye all.
See you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.